So, Jason,
Yes.
what you been watching?
I've been watching Arrested Development Season 5, Part B. Now, Arrested Development was a show that originally aired on Fox back in the early 2000s, and it was a show that I found after its runtime, but a show that I was a really big fan of. A friend of mine introduced me to the show, and originally I watched it on G4. They would run marathons of it, which is a defunct TV channel now. And then eventually I got it on DVD and I was able to watch the episodes over and over again because those episodes are so dense. They're so full of jokes that you could watch it an episode 10 times and catch new jokes every time. And then things referenced later in the season would come back and you'd watch the beginning of the season and you wouldn't have caught it unless you watched the end of the season. Incredibly dense, funny stuff. The show went away. It was canceled after 3 seasons and it was brought back um, by Netflix a little while ago, and it was one of Netflix's first big originals. They brought it back, as well as I think the same year they launched House of Cards and Orange Is the New Black. So back then,
Dang,
and
OG
that
Netflix.
OG Netflix. So that was season 4. They brought back, and that came out to very mixed reviews. People were happy to have it back, but at the same time, they were disappointed by the fact that the cast wasn't really together for any of the episodes. Each episode focused on a different cast member because they're all famous now. Of course,
Hmm.
you got they've all got their own careers, working on Veep, working on Transparent. So they've all got their own stuff going on. Will
Bateman's
Arnett
got his
was on
other
that
Netflix
show.
show.
Jason Bateman, Michael Cera.
Yeah.
So they didn't have time to film together. So they got mixed reviews. Well, the show went away again, and then it came back last year with season 5. And season 5 dropped the first 8 episodes back in July, I believe. And then this past Friday, they dropped the second half of the season, the other 8, which is kind of a pain having to watch the show like that with so many starts and stops. And frankly, after all this time, this seems like it's the finale. It doesn't really seem like it was worth the wait. Unfortunately, the show's kind of really gone way past its expiration date at this point, and it's so sad to see a show that you had so much respect for decline in such a major way. So season 5 sees the Bluth family come together again, and they're still kind of telling the story from season 4, which again came out years ago. They're trying to find out who murdered Lucille Ostero, and Buster is the prime suspect at this point. Now, the reason this entire season is telling one storyline is because originally when it was conceived, when Mitchell Hurwitz, the creator of the show, was conceiving bringing it back, season 4 was supposed to be an introduction to the Arrested Development movie, and then the movie was supposed to come out a little bit after that, a 2-hour movie that wrapped up the entire series. That movie never happened. Again, the cast wasn't able to come back together. Eventually, Netflix brought it back for a 5th season, and he stretched the idea that he had for the movie into a whole nother season of the show. Now, if you're a Arrested Development fan that's been following the show all these years, I would say definitely watch it. It's going to close everything up. Now, it leaves enough room open for the show to come back, but I think this is it. I don't think it's coming back. It wraps up a bunch of its major storylines, the stuff with George Michael and Maybe, that's wrapped up. We finally figure out what happened with Lucille Ostero. Um, but it wraps everything up very clunkily. Like some conclusions to things that you've been watching since episode 1 of the show happened in the background. And then there are major parts of this second half of the season that have been dubbed over. Like they filmed it and then massive sections where they redub dialogue to kind of try to all these things into the end to try to have these revelations and stuff that make all these mysteries make sense. The show isn't as funny as it used to be. The first episode or two in this second half of the season, I think, were good. And I was really hopeful after watching them. But the show spins its wheels in these last 8 episodes so much, and it doesn't go to any new places. It doesn't explore anything new. It spins its wheels, and then in the last 1 to 2 episodes, it tries to cram in a finale to the point where there are scenes in the second half of the season where it's just taking stock footage and recording voices over to try to make it fit in so you can finally have explanations for these mysteries that I don't know if he just realized he never shot an answer to these mysteries or what. And then in some cases, you don't even need the explanation because the mysteries are so obvious that you guess them as soon as you saw them. I won't spoil anything, but if you watch the show back in its first 3 seasons, you could not guess what was going to happen. And then once you get, I'll give you an example. So in season 3, for most of the season, most of that storyline of season 3 is Michael has found a new girlfriend. What the show does so well is that Michael thinks this girl likes him. She's British. The show shows you that it makes you think that she's a spy. But then the real truth behind it all is that she's mentally handicapped and she's just not a smart person. So when you go back, you can watch this storyline from all 3 different perspectives and it makes sense. And when you go back, there are jokes in there that the show doesn't even bring attention to. In season 5, part B, the revelations are exactly what you thought they were from the beginning, and it doesn't surprise you or anything. I'm really sad to talk about this season like this because, again, I've stuck with this show for so long. I was even there through season 4. I think I talked myself into liking season 4 more than it deserved. But at this point, I think after finally finishing the show, it's just like, all right, it's over. Yeah, you get to see these characters come back for 8 more episodes. One last time, the Bluth family gets together. But I think, like Lucille Osterio, it's time to finally kill him off. So, I would give Arrested Development Season 5, Part B. Frankly, I don't give a dean.
Wow.
Yeah, I think if you're, like I said, if you're an Arrested Development fan, grit your teeth, do like I did, watch it all in one sitting. Again, you're going to start out hopeful because the beginning of it is much better than the end of it. Like, the first 2 episodes are pretty good. And then as it goes on, you just realize, oh, they have nothing new to say. And then the final 6 are, it just gets more and more and progressively more depressing. But if you're a fan, just get to the end of it because this is probably going to be it. But if you're someone else coming in and you see this new Netflix show on that just has popped up saying, oh, Arrested Development, do not watch this. Go back and watch the first 3 seasons. Those are great. But you can stop at season 3 if you're a casual fan.
That's disappointing.
Yeah. I was a big fan of those original 3 seasons. For a long time, those first 3 seasons of Arrested Development, that was my favorite show ever. It's not that way
Wow.
anymore, unfortunately. Yeah. But, yeah, it's fallen
Wow.
quite a bit.
That's a
Yeah.
big thing to say.
Yeah.
Even better than Community for you?
No. Like I said before then, it was my
Oh.
favorite show.
All right. All right.